The first two films in the Venom series, based on the Marvel Comics character, had a certain goofy charm for them as helped by Tom Hardy's wacky performance, although they also got bogged down by the usual superhero movie elements in its action sequences. Unfortunately, the third movie, Venom: The Last Dance, has less what made the previous entries somewhat entertaining and tries to take itself a little too seriously. For whatever reason, Eddie Brock and his symbiote friend are given less to do, and only a few times does it showcase their bromance as director-writer Kelly Marcel goes for something bigger and less fun here. Tom Hardy certainly continues to give the role his all and has an understanding of the silliness of the concept, but Eddie is kind of a downer through most of it. The film tries really hard to go for the emotional angle, but it does not work at all, because the main appeal of this iteration of the character is how ridiculous he gets. Hardy's over-the-top Venom voice is good for a few smiles, but even what he's saying lacks much interest. Even more frustrating is the movie's insistence on cutting to much more boring characters with an own doll subplot at Area 51. There's a lot of time spent on these scientists in the military they're working with who feel like they belong in an entirely different movie. They just don't gel with Eddie and Venom's storyline, although that plot is also narratively underwhelming and does not provide much opportunity to go to interesting places. The script forces some backstories on two scientists which do nothing to properly develop them as characters. Meanwhile, a generic-looking alien monster goes after the protagonist, and there's not much they do with it beyond an appetite for symbiotes. There's also a family on a road trip that Eddie and Venom come across, and their presence tires quickly. The film also gives the audience not one, but two different men in the shadows who are nothing more than potential sequel bait if Sony is satisfied with the final gross on this. The action disappoints too, as they are reliant on far too much quick cutting. Characters and objects are constantly flying across the screen with little excitement generated. Even when a potentially fun idea pops up, The Last Dance quickly wastes that on the usual noise and special effects. With everything going on, it's just hard to care about much of anything that transpires on screen. It's strange saying Venom: The Last Dance is a disappointment, as the previous films were not anything special either. However, for all their faults, there was some entertainment value of how goofy they got and how committed Tom Hardy is to this role. Yet this film tires largely because the filmmakers take the story far too seriously, and Hardy is given a lot less opportunity to shine. He's sad and mopey most of the time, which rubs off on the tone of the entire film. Most of the attempts at humor that are there don't land, and the sequences at Area 51 especially drag things down. What we're left with is yet another weak entry in this unusual franchise about Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery.